Okay, everyone. Welcome to the Generate Insight tutorial. Of part of the Part C tutorial. In general. So this is on the kind of new Generate Insight and Insight 360 that comes in with the lighting analysis kind of add-in that you guys downloaded. Um, I am gonna recommend. I'm not 100% certain on this, but I believe this is the case. But I am going to recommend to do kind of like the setting up the energy settings that I explained in the energy the energy analysis tutorial, because I believe I have a hunch that those settings affect what occurs in the generate insight. So that's why you kind of want to do that just to kind of see what ends up happening. I'm actually gonna no, I don't have to isolate it. I'm just gonna leave it as is. It doesn't need to be isolated now. So yeah, so I would generate that. Obviously, you probably don't have to show the actual the energy analysis model if you don't want to. I don't think that makes a difference. I'm actually gonna turn Madison's on so they show. But it's obviously probably a good idea to actually do the energy settings as I explain them in the energy analysis tutorials parts, because as I believe that those are going to make a difference and actually kind of start to present the right information that this is going to need to take from the model itself. So I think basically from that point everything's already set up, so you can just go right in and hit you can click generate insight, and basically what this is going to do, it sends it to the cloud and they take care of it through the Autodesk cloud. And you can see right here when you're done whatever your email is on your Autodesk.com account, they'll notify you by email. So I have my email open. I did have my email open. Must have closed it. So you can see, and this is ones that I ran before when I was playing with it to test it. So what they do is, they send you one email saying that your project's been received, and you'll see receive an email when it's done. So while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to pause this video until I receive that email that that's done, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I got the email that it's done, and you can see basically it's a simple email, says it's done, and it gives you a link to click on. So you can click on this link, but you can actually do it through Revit as well. But I'm just going to bring you to what you see. So first, I'm going to go back to actually the Insight itself. So this is kind of what like the Insight 360 is when you go onto it, itself, and then you can see everything here. This you see that it's kind of very bare so far, and this is kind of like when you go to Insight from the beginning. This is kind of like all that's here. So I've been trying to find information to like read on about it, to kind of get an idea, of anything helpful to help with, instructions or kind of tips or like a user manual, but I've yet to find anything. Obviously, this is the plugin for Revit. Download. This is just to download it. And these are like supports and stuff, but I don't think they're going to show anything. Like it just brings you back to this tab, which isn't really show anything. So hopefully in the coming weeks or so, maybe they'll hopefully post something. There may be something in the support forum, but I'll leave you guys to play around with this a little bit. But if you go back to your Insight 360 kind of area, you can see that where it says on categories. If you click on that, you'll see your project, and then you can click on the project, and then so you can see, and if you do leave the energy model active, it'll show you the energy model, so you can see that, as my hunch was correct, this does utilize the energy model. So you probably want to use the energy, do the energy settings, and then have the energy model active. And it'll, when it does the Insight 360, it'll take that into account. But then you can see, it took the building that was already there as well. So this is kind of like the area, so you can see like different information that's presented. How much is it going to cost to run, per year. So this is $1.74 US dollars per square foot per year. So obviously, whatever, how many square feet you have, you times it by that, and that's how much it's going to cost. You can see here, benchmark comparison, model history, operating schedule. So you can see this is taking all the settings that I did into account. So you can see. So it kind of breaks it down into different kind of things. If you were going to use photovoltaics, you'd have currently between 10 to 30 years of a payback. If you did photovoltaics, the panels would probably be about 16 to 20% efficient. Lighting efficiency, how well could your lights be efficiency wise? Surface coverage, and then obviously there's descriptions here that you can read. So it kind of goes through everything, and then so then it kind of breaks it down by walls. If you click on, I don't know if you click on anything. If you click on something, it kind of gives you more charts to look through and a little bit more information. So this is something that you guys can kind of play around with and delve into more to see different things that you can do. Obviously, I just clicked on this, but there's like a little flip. So if you flip it, you kind of get that same chart that was at the end of this. So this is kind of just like a new energy thing that Insight 360 offers that you can start to play around with it again. This is something that's I'm going to be playing with as well to see. So and there's all different things. I was playing with this earlier. There's like a section thing, so you can actually, with your energy model, you can take a section of it. So you can see here, I've cut into the section. If I turn that off, I can interact with the camera, stretch things. So there's like a whole bunch of different things that you can like do to kind of play around with it. Model browser. There's just like a whole bunch of different stuff that you can play with and mess around. Properties. So it's like you can click on one. You can search it more, but you can see like what it is. So it kind of lists everything. So like what this was a browser, so model browser. So this breaks down every piece of this model that you sent to Insight. So you can click on one of those pieces, it'll highlight what that piece is, and then it'll tell you what it is, what it was recognized as for the analysis. So you can see, what that is, and kind of like whatever, and then you can look through. So there's different things that you can start to play with. Other settings. Click on this again. See something. Right, so there's all different things. Errands. And you can go full screen with this if you wanted to, I guess. So you can see that full screen. Get out of full screen. So that's how. So you can get through it through your email. There, once it lets you know that it's done. But also, if you have a direct connect to Insight 360 right from here, so you can just click on that, and it's going to bring you back to. It kind of gives you this full screen of it here, and it kind of brings you to the same thing, but it's kind of like Revit, but not. See, it still shows. It shows as a Revit window, like a separate Revit window, and it shows you the same stuff, but it shows here instead of in whatever browser you use for the internet. Then you can check the location, so you can see here we have the location set, so it's showing us where we actually are for the energy analysis, which is nice. And then again, you have all the same tools. It's a little bit zoomed in, and it's kind of hard to. Like I was trying to play with this earlier, you can just kind of shrink it a little bit, but it's still kind of like zoomed. So maybe you may kind of find it easier to see through the browser. So this is kind of something that you can start to look at and play with, and if you have time, you can kind of play with it and see what it's like. See if you can pull any information through it, from it. Kind of gives you, here, I'm just looking at this quickly, types of wall construction that would be good. So there's just different things, and it's kind of like something new that hopefully I'll get a better grasp on if I can ever find some information on this thing and see what it's about. So that's it for this tutorial and tutorial C in general. I believe I covered everything. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. But with any of the tutorials, if you find anything that I didn't cover or you want covered, just let me know. Either in an email or as you see me walking by in class, and I could always, create another tutorial for it. But I think that's everything here.